Move to President's comments, which will be brief. There will be none. Thank you for coming. And we'll move right into our presentation. So first up this evening, we have our very own local magisterial district judge, Ed Levine, who's going to give us a quick update on the state of the judiciary from his point of view. Thank you. Welcome, Ed.
Did you need to announce we're in executive session?
Yes, I did. I'm sorry. Before you start, Ed, one matter that I should announce. We did meet prior to this meeting in executive session to discuss a matter of potential litigation. There will be a motion on our agenda, added to our agenda this evening, coming out of that. So we'll talk about that more when that happens. Thank you. Sorry, Ed. Go for it.
Nothing to do with my court. Thank you very much. My name's Judge Edward Levine. I'm the judge for the Lansdale District Court, which includes Lansdale, Towamencin, and the northern part of Hatfield Township and Hatfield Borough. I just want to thank the council for giving me a few minutes to talk to everybody and just air out things and let people know how things are going, because not many people think about the district court. I want to also thank the Lansdale Police Department. They've been fantastic. I've been dealing with them all year, and dealing is the wrong word. I've been working with them. Completely respectful, totally professional, great bunch of guys. You should be proud of your police department. They do a phenomenal job. And I also want to thank the citizens here. Big turnout. I don't remember it being like this the last time I was at a meeting, so this is really impressive. And we have had no outbursts, no craziness in the court. You think wacky people come in. It's been very good in there. Everybody's been respectful. I'm working on the dress code, but you can't have anything. The goal of tonight is just to briefly give you a sort of how busy the court is, what's happening in the court, how Lansdale Borough is doing in relation to what's happening in the court, just some numbers. And by the way, the numbers really don't mean anything. I can't read anything into the numbers. I'm a new judge. I don't really have a baseline to go off of. This is my first year. So when I say, traffic totals or civil complaint totals, it is what it is. The reasoning behind it, I can't even begin to tell you. I have some theories and things, but, it's all I have to go off of. So what are the overall numbers? How is the court doing? Well, your court is very busy. I have the optimal number of staff you can have in the county. We have 4 full-time employees and 1 part-time employee. And in terms of overall caseload, we're about right in the middle. But in terms of each different thing, traffic, non-traffic, civil, landlord, tenant, we're right up there in the top third of everything. So we're very well-rounded. Compared to the rest of the county, the only thing we're lacking in is traffic. And I just want to point out, Lower Merion dominates in traffic, and you want to know why? They give a lot of parking tickets. So if you want to have a jurisdiction that gives a ton of parking tickets, go right ahead. But I'm more concerned about the important stuff, the moving violations, the crime. In terms of a total caseload, we had 5,335 cases to process. So again, that includes traffic, non-traffic, civil, landlord, tenant, and criminal. The numbers are going down. We were actually a lot lower. In 2014, we incorporated part of Hatfield Township and Hatfield Borough due to Judge Diedelhauser's court getting consolidated. So that was an uptick, and I only went back about 5 years on the numbers. So there was an uptick in 2014 for the court in terms of caseload, and then last year we did 6,020 cases in 2015. That's gone down about 11%. Part of that is because traffic has actually gone down, and it's gone down in Towamencin a lot, and it's gone down in Lansdale a little bit. Also, part of the overall numbers, we have increased, or actually decreased a little bit, about 12% in overall numbers. Civil caseload, which I have here, sorry about that. The civil caseload has actually gone down. We only had 288 civil cases, which I see as a good thing. That means people aren't suing as many people as they used to. And most of those are usually credit card companies coming after people. So I don't know what this indicates. Maybe people are paying their bills a little better these days. Maybe people aren't falling behind. Landlord tenants have actually increased. We had 418 landlord tenant cases. That's up about 8.5% from the year before. And we had 295 in 2014. don't know what to attribute that to either. But the landlords are fairly on top of things here in the borough and in Hatfield and Towamencin. So, but they're also benevolent. They really do work with the citizens and their tenants. Most of the cases I get are what we call stay and pay. Look, if you can get your bills up to date and get us cleared up, we're going to keep you in there. So the landlords are actually very nice and have been great to deal with, and the management companies. In terms of other overall numbers, crime is actually about the same. Really hasn't changed too much, and that's incorporating all the townships and everything. As a matter of fact, Lansdale has actually gone down. And Lansdale, the criminal, the crime rate, or I won't say crime rate, but criminal cases have gone down every year. To the point, I'll just say this, in 2012, Lansdale had 274 criminal complaints. In 2016, 157. I don't know what it's attributed to. I can't even begin to tell you, but it has gone down. And it's gone down steadily in Lansdale. And in other places like Towamencin, it's actually gone up a little bit. Could be more DUIs, could be less domestics. I don't know, but it has gone down. And I think Lansdale PD's done a really good job of preventative law enforcement. They're really getting out there ahead of the game. They're working with people, and they're very open to solving problems outside the box. That's what I usually like to do. Things like community service, things like treatment for drug treatment and stuff like that. Traffic has gone down a lot here in Lansdale. I talked to Chief McDyer. One of the big reasons for that is, how many of you have ever gotten a 3111? For traffic. Okay. Well, what that is that that's basically a catch-all. No points, no insurance. It was always a favorite to give to people because you don't want to come down too hard on drivers. You want to stop speeding, but you don't want to kill a person and raise their insurance rates and give them 1 million points. So they would give a 3111. Well, the state got involved in that about 2 years ago and said, hey, that's money we want. And a lot of that money now goes to the state. They raised the fine up. And I think all of it goes towards the state or the county. So, I'm just going to say from my experience, people talk about quotas for police. It's bogus. You really don't get a lot of money from traffic tickets. It's not going to make or break you whether they issue more tickets or not. In fact, it's almost de minimis compared to the cost of running a police department. So I think what they have, their preventative measures, the cameras out on the streets, and the job they do just being aware of where the spots are and working with people has been tremendous. So the Lansdale numbers are good. Everything seems to be going well based on my year. I will say that weddings are up 1,000,000% because now I do them, and they've been a lot of fun, and we've had a good time with that. In closing also, I want to thank the council for the Civics 101. That's been a lot of fun. We've had a great turnout the last 2 times. My next one will be March 28th, and you can come on into the court. I do it at night. I come in, I tell you exactly what we do and how we do it, and usually there's a funny story there, too, about some of the people that come in there and things that happen. But overall, things are good. I think crime is going down. I think we're doing a really good job of it. The biggest fear right now, I think people know about it, is heroin. That can be a problem. Very tough to deal with. There's no one solution, and there's no one really to blame. It's everybody. It's going to take a community to help solve those problems. But I'm working on it. I try to work as best I can with some of the criminals that come in to really have a serious addiction problem. So if there are any ideas, feel free to add those to me. And also, I wanted to point out community service. Right now, I mainly send people to Manna on Main Street. If anybody has any community service ideas that are willing to have people come in for community service, particularly teenagers from North Penn High School, stuff like that, please contact the court. Let me know. I love Manna, and Manna is great, but I almost give them too many people sometimes, and they need to ease their burden a little bit. So if you have any community service ideas, feel free to give them to me or give them to the court, and I'll be happy to answer any questions if you guys have any questions.
Any questions up here for?
I just wanted to say thank you for being a part of our Civics 101. It's always a good time, and I welcome everyone to come. Judge Ed does a great job, so thank you for that.
Thanks. All right.
Just want to say thanks for backing up with numbers with some of us up here sort of suspected and knew that our police force does a great job, and we know that the crime numbers have been decreasing, so it's great to hear that in solid numbers. Thanks, Ed, and thanks for the job you do.
I appreciate it.
Anyone else? Go for it.
Do the community service people do yard work?
Good point. You know, Parks and Rec, I know Carl's here, and there was a time where I don't know whether we could do it or we can't do it, but if you're back and open to it and need the help, you know, I would love to get that back incorporated to you guys and help cleaning things up.
It sounded to me like Councilman Van Dame was going to set up a 501c3 to have someone rake his yard, but I could be wrong about that. Anyone else? All right, thank you.
Actually,
sorry,
I just have
sorry.
one thing,
Yep, go.
and to thank Ed for participating in the county's preliminary waiver video hearing program, which his predecessor did not participate in. But what's nice about that is that it enables our police officers to stay here in town as opposed to having them drive the accused to the prison, wait there to pick them up, and then come back. So that's like a 3-hour, 4-hour time frame that we get our officers here to stay in town. So if you want to just talk a little bit about that.
That's a tremendous thing. They don't happen too often, the preliminary waivers, but we're getting to the point, and I believe it might be incorporated this year, where we're just going to go straight to FaceTime. I'm required to have visual contact with the defendant for an arraignment or for a search warrant with an officer. I believe it just streamlines everything. So I've done everything I can, and Chief will tell you, just to be there and be available. I've come into here. I came into here last week to do an arraignment. Everything's so close. I'm the judge here. I live here. Nothing is far away, so it all can be done. And video is great. Why somebody wouldn't do video is beyond me. It's quick, it's easy, it gets the job done, it saves a lot of time and effort for the police department. So I'm more than happy to do that, despite my hair and how goofy I look. So it's all good.
Anyone else? Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Appreciate it very much. Thanks for coming in. All right, moving right along, we're going to move to our Business of the Month, which this month is going to be presented to us by EDC member Ray Liberto. You take it away, Ray.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Borough Council, for allowing me to present the January 2017 Business Month of the Award to the Lansdale UFC Gym. Larry Mays opened the UFC gym in February 2014 and has built a membership up of over 500 members today. They offer anything from lifting weights, cardio equipment, group boxing, kickboxing classes, personal training, along with MMA, mixed martial arts classes. If you want to look for a challenge, the UFC gym is definitely there for you. Larry's assembled a great team of coaches. One of the managers and coaches here, Tiff, is here tonight. They're very welcoming. It's definitely a what they call the no judge zone, and you are very welcomed when you get to the first class. Their motto is train different, and train different you will, getting and staying healthy. The UFC gym has been involved with the community from the very start. They're a member of the Penn Suburban Chamber. They're a vendor at First Fridays and Lansdale Day each year. They also open their doors to the Future Soldier program. They allow the recruiters to come in and train work out with the recruits so that they can stay the course. Fundraising is a big part of the UFC mission. With the help of the coaches, they run food drives for MANA, collections for soldiers at Walter Reed, and Glow in the Dark Boxing, where people will come, donate, bring a friend, they donate money, and then that money goes to a local charity. So please join me in congratulating the Lansdale UFC Gym for the January 2017 Business of the Month.
There you go, Tiff. Wait, don't go. First off, I'd like to thank you. We're really honored. The community of Lansdale has been very accepting to us. We opened, as Ray said, in February 2014. Most of our members are from the Lansdale area. A lot of people many people are intimidated for coming into the gym because they think it's a fight gym and we're doing jiu-jitsu and boxing, but it's really it's a fitness gym. And our theme is get fit, not hit. We have a program, the Biggest Loser Contest, going on in the month of January, where we've welcomed 3 or 4 local businesses. We have teams. There's a prize at the end. And so we'd like to welcome anyone here that's in the room tonight to come join us. You're never too old. And we have a lot of fun. Here's Tiffany. Tiff is the general manager. She runs the gym. Tell them a little bit about the gym, Tiff.
Okay. That's put me on the spotlight. Thanks, appreciate that. No, pretty much everything he said. We offer classes for any. So, for instance, like we have a lot of people that come in and they're like, "Well, you don't. I've never fought before." Well, that's fine. You don't need to. Most people that walk in our door have no fight experience whatsoever. They just come in and they get the workout of their lives, and they leave better for it. And they come every day, and they're addicted to it. It's a very healthy addiction to have. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. That's a great picture of Ray. I don't know if everybody saw it while it was flashing by, but it was a really good one. Excellent work. All right. Do I have any petitions this evening? All right. Before we do public comment, I do want to remind everyone that we are on film, as they say. We're on camera. If you do have a question or a comment, please do come up to one of these 2 podiums here, your name and address for the record. Okay. So with that, any Lansdale residents to be heard on any right here in the front? Yeah, come on up.
My name is Ann Malikson. I live at 1111 Beechwood Avenue. I started out as a 20-some-year-old mother, and now I'm a senior citizen. Sorry. I want to talk trash. I want to talk trash in terms of senior citizens. I couldn't see the proposal on the website. I looked for it, so I'm kind of going blind. I just want to give you my concerns. I'm concerned that the seniors are going to be lumped in with families who have 3, 4, 5 participants. So when you're pricing, please keep the seniors in mind. Sometimes I have 5 Acme bags full of trash, or maybe 1 or 2 paper bags of recycle. And I think a lot of seniors are the same way. So to be lumped in with a family of 3, 4, or 5 who have mounds of trash and all that would be detrimental. And because the borough is taking over the negotiation, we would have no negotiation power. Last year, I negotiated a decrease in my refuse bill because I'm a senior, and I said, hey, this is what I do. Give me a break. And they gave me a break. But that would go away with the trash proposal. Also, I'm concerned about the leaves. Every year, Lansdale Borough sends Section 1. The leaves are the first thing in our section. Our leaves don't come down till December. So the service that I pay for the leaf collection, forget it. I maybe do 2 bags a year. I put most of my leaves in the refuse containers, or I have to hire somebody every year to do leaves for me because, you know, the service Lansdale provides is not good for me because they do it too early. And every year they do it too early. I mean, I've been in Lansdale since 76. Since 81, I've been in Section 1, and the dates have not changed. We're always the first ones on the list. Okay, so I'm concerned that the first thing that you're going to say to the trash haulers, well, lower our price because you're not going to have to collect leaves because we have our own leaf gathering service. Well, that again is going to hurt the seniors It's going to hurt me, and it's going to hurt people in Section 1 specifically, where we have a lot of mature trees. That was two things about the trash. There was something else too. Okay, will the new trash hauler take the large bulk items free? Some of the trash haulers will take one item a week free as long as it fits in the truck. I'm afraid that when the borough takes over, they're going to put in their proposal, well, you know, any large item will have to be paid for. Again, lumping everything into one size fits all to make it concise, but it's going to hurt people. You know, if I can get something out on the street that would be able to fit in that truck, you know, please don't charge me extra, because I'm paying more than enough as it is, in my opinion. So that they are my real concerns about Lansdale Borough taking over trash. You know, I know there's a lot of trucks on the road, but I don't see a lot of street maintenance on Beechwood Avenue. I've been there since 1981, and other than putting the handicap corners on either side, they have not come and macadammed my street. So, you know, I don't know what the concern is about the trash haulers running up and down the streets. Okay, I like the competition, and I think a lot of people like the competition, because if they don't like the service, all they do is say, "You're fired. Next, what are you going to do for me?" So they are my concerns there. Another thing I'm concerned about with senior citizens is Lansdale Borough has no discounts. I mean, the sewer bills, you're paying, in my opinion, we're paying double for the water that runs through the sewer pipes. We're paying a usage fee of $47, which I understand, because you have to fix the pipes, you have to maintain them, you have to have customer service. But you're charging usage fee on the water, that you've already paid for the water to the North Penn Water Authority. So why are you double charging me for the water that's flowing through that pipe that I've already paid essentially for the usage through the North Penn Water Authority? I understand you don't get the money from North Penn, but I don't understand the how you charge for water. My last bill was $99 for a quarter, and I know that doesn't seem like much when you have two-income families, but I'm on a fixed income. 2017, my Social Security didn't go up because it was offset by an increase in Medicare. My small pension did not go up because my COLA CPI is less than 1%, so I don't get an increase there. And it's flat. Everything's flat. And it was like that last year also. It was flat. In the meantime, you're putting up the taxes 5%. Montgomery County, I heard, is charging $66 a household to fund the community college. I heard that. I don't know if it's true. And we haven't heard yet about the real estate tax through the school district, so I don't know if there's going to be an increase there. So I'm living on a limited income. There's 14% of the population in Lansdale, and it might be a higher number than that, because I took that number from your website, but that might be an old number. There are a lot of people in Lansdale living on fixed incomes. And, you know, where is the additional money coming from? You know, we have what we get. There's no other money. So if you could develop some kind of program for the senior citizens where you say, okay, you're 65 or over, we're going to give you a 2% discount or some kind of discount. It would be helpful. It would offset. And that way the families, the new families coming in who have the double incomes and, you know, they've got the kids are using the park. You know, I came to Lansdale back in '76 because of the kid-friendly atmosphere here. I love it in Lansdale. But I've gone to the spectrum now. Now I'm the senior with nobody in the house. I still use the swimming pool, which we're charged now as seniors $35, where it used to be free. That happened last year. But I love to come to the pool a couple times during the season. I bring my grandchildren a couple times. I pay extra, but I bring them. So, you know, I like the atmosphere. I love the parks, the recreation, but we've got to think a little bit about the seniors too. And that's,
Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't want to get too far. You can have a seat. I don't want to get too far off the rails, but we do have our engineer here, and he may be able to address a couple of the issues that you raised relative to the trash. I'm pretty sure the leaves collection is in there, and there's a couple other things that you asked about that I think we could probably answer quickly.
Yeah, good news. The way that it was written is leaf collection is included with the contract. There's no extra payment for that. And bulk items, the big refrigerators, the big things, that's included with the contract. So there's no extra payment for that.
but is it one size fits all in terms of whether it's one person in the house or five?
As far as pricing, right now it's basically a lump sum bid. It's one number based on an annual fee that they would charge. That's how it's structured.
But how would it break down for individual families? Is what I'm asking.
That hasn't been discussed. The purpose of putting this potentially out to bid to get numbers is to have something to evaluate, not potentially to award a contract to anybody, is to see what the numbers look like so council can make an educated decision.
Right, and then we could potentially renegotiate. We could look at a senior discount. We could look at some of these other items and take those things into consideration. Sure. Thanks, Chris. The other thing I wanted to clarify, you made a comment about tax increase. We don't have one this year in the borough. Just FYI, there is no tax increase for this year for the borough. So just so you were aware of that. All right, no worries.
We changed.
We were thinking about it, but then we were able to not do that. So, all right. Thank you very much, Ann. Who else do I have? Mr. Stinson in the back.
Good evening, guys. My name is Paul Stinson. I live at 111 West 6th Street. Like the lady before me, I also wanted to talk about the trash. I was unable to find anything on the website about it. In speaking with some of my neighbors, especially those whose properties abut an alley, we don't want 8, 9 different trash trucks coming down our alleys. They're tearing it up. And whilst you guys and do a good job of every once in a while, coming through and paving it, and we realize it's our property, it's not in our best interest to have these tons of trash trucks up and down our alleys, tearing up the gravel, tearing up the dirt that's there, and making it rougher, because we do drive down there. So, they talked to me and they said, what do you want to do about it? And I said, I'm going to go to Borough Council. I'm going to talk about it. Also, when my son was a little bit younger, he had to do community service. And Lansdale Little League is always looking for umpires. And it's North Penn Little League now is also always looking for umpires, which is a great community service and a way to give back. And, as long as you can see out of one eye, you can qualify as an umpire. Ask Ed. I do it for him all the time. He'll tell you. But mainly the trash was what I wanted to come up and talk about, and just to express the opinion of some of the residents in my little Ward 2-2. Please, we don't want trash trucks up and down our alleys 8 times a day, 3 days a week. So thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Here in the back? Yep.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Allen. I live at 1009 East Main Street. Fairly new resident. I'm here to talk trash too. Only I used to do it for a living. For 8 years, I've worked with Waste Management and Republic Services, and some of these people recognize me. So I did get to look at the bid proposal, and it is just a proposal that they're formulating online. And I have seen some of these in the past. I've done quite a few myself, not public, but commercial, and for that, so for your businesses. There are some reasons why people don't pay more or less depending on volume, and if you would like me to explain that to you later on, I would be happy to do that, because it isn't the same thing as a business where you pay for how much trash you generate. Okay, so there is a little bit of a difference, and as I told the council when I first spoke, trash is, yes, the service is to pick up your trash, but it is a trucking business. So if you think of it as a routing of trucks, and about the trucks, that's what you're paying for. You're paying for safe trucks, you're paying for trucks with good brakes, you're paying for trucks that don't leak in your alleys, for trucks that don't create damage on your properties, and for drivers who are qualified to drive those trucks. That's what you're paying for. Anybody can pick up your trash in a pickup, anybody can pick up your recycling. You're paying for trucks and drivers and people who know what they're doing. And when I looked over this bid, I was just a little disappointed because there's a few things missing from here that I think are fairly normal and would definitely benefit the community if they were included in the bid proposal. Okay, so there is room to change some things here. I only have a few sticky notes. There should be some sort of list of what you're defining as standard service. You ask for a lot of services, and I think in the report from 2002 that was also next to the bid, it says that the 16,000 residents of the 7,200 households in Lansdale had 4 trash holders. Well, trash haulers. It sounds like different people were getting different services. So I think it would behoove everyone if you figured out what everybody's paying for, because you also have here a survey from 2012 that says that there's 5 different groups of people who are paying 5 different prices for trash, whereas it's a very small sample of the 16,000 people that are noted in the report. There's only 1,600 people, and 777 of them make up the 50% of Lansdale Borough that is being noted and used as a comment. But obviously, that's not the 8,000 people that would be 50% of Lansdale residents. That's only 50% of the 1,600 that were contacted in 2012. So those people are paying between $21 and $30 for trash service, and then there's people who are paying more and paying less. Well, I want to know if you're paying more, what services are you getting that I'm not getting that I'm paying $30 for? And same thing for people who are paying less. So I'd like to see a little more detail and depth, and I would like it to be presented to the companies for them to tell me, okay? You are asking for some very specific services, which do include the services for the borough, and my suggestion would be that you tell them what you would like or where you would like it to service to be had, and then ask them what kind of service they would recommend. Because I looked at one of the buildings has got a 6-yard going twice a week, and in my capacity when I was working for the trash companies, I'd tell you to go to an 8-yard once a week. So it's just a taller container for more trash once a week, because you're paying for the pickup. You're not paying for the amount of trash. You're paying for every time that truck comes to your location. You've got the library. It looked like it had 3 totes. Well, 2-yard with wheels, that might do it too, once a week, instead of being picked up twice a week. All I'm saying is let them recommend to you what they think you need, and then they can tell you how they can service you. A very simple solution for people who live along alleys: just get together and everybody decide who you want, and then you only got the 1 truck coming down. I mean, you don't even have to have a borough or a contract, anything like that. Just cut down the number of people coming. Even if half of you decide to use one person, that's still maybe 1 or 2 trucks that's not coming down as often. So some of these things can be done. They don't always have to be done or regulated. So we just need a little bit more specifics. I mean, if you look, what I do, when I first moved here, when I decided what I wanted for trash, I looked to see what my neighbor on this side was getting and the neighbor on this side was getting. And there were 2 different trash companies. Well, guess what? The neighbor on this side, I went with their trash guy, and I've never had my trash mixed because there's two people there. So now it's worth it for them to stop and pick up all my trash. Things like bulk waste, that's included. In the bid, it talks about the borough's service of, and I might be wrong on this because I'm fairly new in the area, but I don't need a once-a-month bulk waste pickup because my agreement, which is not a contract, it's an agreement with this company, includes bulk pickup. I call them. They say, okay, put it outside. That includes appliances. I can put 5 bags of yard waste and bundles of stick right on every week. I don't need maybe it might be good to have like a once a month thing, but I don't want to be paying less money and getting less services, or I don't want to pay the same amount of money and getting less services. I want what I'm getting. And there's a few, one other thing that's really missing, I just can't believe it because it's like the F word of all trash services, is fees. There's nothing in this proposal that asks about fees or anything that asks, you're talking a 3-year contract. What about fuel fees? Did nobody up here get hit with fuel fees when diesel went up? Okay, well, I'm currently paying $1.72 in fees. I got a gas tax charge here for 22 cents and an admin fee for $2, which I get a 50 cents credit. I have no idea why they would even do that. Well, if there's 7,200 households paying $1.72 every quarter, that's 12 grand. You're giving them 12 grand in fees for admin. Okay, well, why? So there's no discussion. There's not even a topic brought up in this proposal of fees. And they're going to ask for fees. The back of my agreement, and all of yours most likely, takes up at least half, talking about environmental fees, fuel fees, administrative fees, and other fees. I mean, they're literally called other fees, whatever we want. And it stipulates that they can raise the fees, they can raise the tax fees, whatever they need to get their margins. That is actually what they say. In order to keep their profit margins, they can raise your fees. This is not unusual business, folks, but there's nothing in this proposal about fees. There's no schedule of fees. There's no schedule of increases. What happens next year? What happens the year after? My other question about this proposal was okay. When I talk about the standard fees, yes, please, if you're keeping time, I appreciate it if you just let me know.
I am.
Thank you.
I will say you're over, which is fine.
Okay,
Which is
okay,
fine.
no.
No. Hold on. It's fine. If you're close to the end, that's fine. What I will say is probably would be sensible if you don't mind having a chat with Chris after. I do want him to respond to the fees issue. I'm not sure if we're all on the same page on that. But if you do, if you just have one more thing, feel free.
That was all I had.
Yep.
Okay. I did want to know how this contract ends, and because one of the things that I don't really see addressed here are any of the liabilities of the haulers. And it says it's a 3-year contract, but a lot of haulers stipulate that you have to give certain notification if you want to cancel your contract, or if they say if service is not met. Okay, so are we agreeing that if they can that they hit a child on a bicycle, but they only hit one, that we're going to continue with their service? There's nothing in here. If we have complaints, I know it asks about to describe the complaint procedure, but exactly what kind of complaints and how many? Like, are we talking harassing children? Are we talking damaging cars? Are we talking about the trash juice coming out on the street, which they should be coming out to clean environmentally with a pressure washer and special washing fluid in order to clean that environmentally? So exactly what are the boundaries? Because I promise you, just go look at your own agreement. They stipulate what we all have to do as customers, and are very specific. So I just don't see those questions being asked and proposed in a way for them to answer us. I see a lot of specifics about what services we might want, but not the other way around. So thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. I appreciate it. And keep in mind that the scope of work that's online is really only a small portion of a very large document. Chris, I don't know if you want to speak specifically to the fee issue.
First off, I think I'll put your mind at ease. Everything that you want's in there, especially with the liability. We like liability language, believe me. We want to hold their feet to the fire. The way that the public contract bidding laws work for municipal government is you ask for a not-to-exceed fee. In this case, it's an annual fee. They're not allowed to raise their fees whatsoever. So you're locked into that number. They can't raise it. They can't change it. They have to have a reason to, and there's really no reason because the contract's pretty specific. The way that it will be organized is it will be a 3-year contract. Every year they have to document what their not-to-exceed fee is going to be, and the borough could have the option of 2 option years, where if they're happy with the services, they could extend it 2 more years. And it's all in black and white. There's bonding, there's insurance, there's protection, there's documentation. They have to provide documentation for the workers, the trucks they're going to use, and there's it's a tremendous undertaking when they put a bid in because there's just so much information that we require. We require them to provide a route for how they're going to go through the borough, which ultimately we have to approve as a group. So believe me, all the things you would ask about, very good things, they're all in there.
Thanks, Chris.
You're welcome.
Do I have anyone else? I think I saw over here. Yes, please. No problem. The floor is yours.
My name is Ed Cole. I live on 6th Street. I think I'm a neighbor of one of the guys over here. I've been here since 1957. I've seen a lot happen in this borough. Good things and things not so good. And of course, we've been up and down with this trash stuff for many, many years. Back, I guess maybe 20, 25 years ago, we went through the single trash hauler deal. It was a disaster. We finally gave up on it and went back to a so-called competitive type situation, which we have now. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the way to go. When you take away the competition, you take away a lot of the ways that people can handle their situations. You're locked into one situation. That is not good. And I agree with this gal over here 100%. About leaves and things, I have a suggestion about leaves. Cut the trees down in your yard, then you don't have them. Number two, if you do have leaves, rake them up in a pile and run your lawnmower through them. It does a tremendous job, and you have mulched leaves for fertilizer. But mainly, I just wanted to say I don't go for the single handling of the trash.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Chapman.
Rose Chapman, 316 West Mount Vernon Street. I've stated my opinion on this single trash hauler before, so I won't bore you with that. Not everybody in this town has an alley, and so their trash is picked up on the street. So I think we could eliminate the alley pickups. About the service project, I spoke to a friend of mine, and she's all for it, but I'd really like to get cleaning up the Lansdale Cemetery. If you could put out trash bins, whatever. I mean, the acorns are phenomenal this year, and she was all willing to help. So if you want a service project, there it is, because I really would like a much needed cemetery. I thank you.
Thanks, Rose. Do I have anyone else? Yes, sir, in the back.
My name is Dennis Rickard. I live in 635 Knoll Drive, the borough of Lansdale. The size of the containers that are being bid out for the trash, is it only going to be one size, or is there going to be a choice? Can anybody answer?
Is that your only question? Or do you have more? That's your fundamental question?
Right.
My understanding is the bid doc speaks to one size. I think, again, it's one of those things where we can, negotiate after the fact. Is that? I'm actually looking at Chris to confirm my suspicion. One size, 65 gallon, yeah.
Because right now, the trash collection that we have offers two different sizes. One is a large container, which most people have, with the recyclable bins, which are the same size. The size I have is basically a size smaller, but it can be wheeled into the garage without taking up a lot of room. The second thing is we don't have to put a big container for recyclable goods. We have a small box that we use because we don't recycle that much. If you do have to have that container, you're going to have to store that for dumping something that will be not even partially full to what we're using now. The other question is, you have a lot of what I read online, the collection of, say, yard waste, garden waste, flowers. Right now, I can put that in our trash bin that we have that's picked up. We don't have to separately put it in a bag, which you can see at a lot of places sit along the road like leaves, and eventually they get wet, and they're all spread over the property or over a yard if they're not picked up. Our collection takes whatever goes in there, he picks it up. The way I read of what's on that line, you're going to have to recycle yard waste separately.
You have the option to do that, yes, and there will be a separate collection once a month for yard waste. And the reason they do that is they bring it to a separate composting location, so it keeps it separate from the standard landfill stuff that you normally throw away.
But right now, I can put that in my trash, whether it's a bundle of torn flowers or so forth.
Yeah, and I believe you could still
come around and check your trash to
Yeah.
see if you're recycling it or not.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I missed your question.
If you put this trash, say yard waste, in your trash container, is somebody going to come around eventually and say, well, you're putting that in there, you can't do that anymore? Right now, I can do that. If you have somebody doing what you're doing now, I lost that right to do that anymore. I had somebody that did it.
I don't know the answer to that one, unfortunately. Chris can address that quick.
The reason why that's put in that proposal is such that there's a state of Pennsylvania, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania requirement stating that you're required to have a separate pickup for organic waste. That's a state law. That's why that's in there.
Okay, well, why does the collection I have now take it without a problem?
I have no comment.
It's a good it's a good question.
With most collections, they do that. So, whatever. And as far as many trucks ripping up the road, in the last couple weeks, Crestview Road has been under construction. Am I correct? Those trucks did more damage to Knoll Drive in the last couple weeks than those trash trucks did in the last 6 months. Hauling the loads of junk that went out of there, most of that stuff could have been hauled out onto Lansdale Avenue and taken it that direction. But a lot of it, for the first few weeks, came up Knoll Drive. That was their way of taking it out. The same way it's coming back in. Knoll Drive right now is not at the stage that Crestview is at, but it's getting close to it because it's cracked and there has been no maintenance work done on it. The road itself, as far as I know, in 30 years, hasn't had no preventive maintenance done to it. And if you go from Crestview down to Greenview, you go down there, that road is in about as bad condition right now as the one they're working on. And I don't understand if that road's even scheduled to be repaired within the next 2, 3 to 5 years. It took so many years off and on to say the road they're working on now was going to be worked on, but then later on it was left go, and each time they put it back, the road got worse. And it got down to the point that it's not a repair like most boroughs and townships do where they put an overlay. It gets down to the point that the road is so deteriorated, they have to rip the whole thing up and rebuild it, which because there was no preventive maintenance put onto it. So that's my thought as far as the trash and as far as the road trucks doing damage on the road. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do I have anyone else?
Mr. President.
Yes.
Yes. Since we're talking trash tonight and a lot of discussion has been come up about leaves this evening, I don't want us to forget about a suggestion that Rose Chapman has made to us several times about a leaf vacuum, which I think is would be a tremendous asset to the borough, not only for getting rid of the leaves that all of us have on our properties, but also with the culverts where the stormwater has to go into. They can go out with that, clean that up, and it could potentially eliminate a problem that we've had. So let's keep that in our minds, because I think it's an absolutely wonderful suggestion.
I agree. I'm pretty sure we have, at least for MS4, we've had a vacuum truck in the capital plan for ages. I'm pretty sure it's still there. So we can certainly revisit that as part of Public Works. And yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. President. Councilman Hanson, thank you for those comments. I appreciate that, and I would like to include that in our agenda for the Public Works Committee meeting coming up first Wednesday of the month. Do all be there, please, at 8 o'clock upstairs. Hopefully, we'll have some public to talk about that. But no, it's a great comment, and I think it's also it's a great idea from Rose, and I've seen it done in several other municipalities as well, and especially in ones that are rather congested. And I think that was one of the arguments against it a long time ago here, probably before I was on council, that it was just too congested to make it work. But I've seen it in the borough of Conshohocken, and it works in many other congested areas too, and it is a good thing to do. So I think we should research that, and that will be done in our next committee meeting.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Willie.
Robert Willie, 711 West 4th Street. Going with I wasn't going to say anything tonight, but I just heard about the vacuum truck. My biggest thing against that would be my ward, my area that I live in. You have cars parked on one side of the street with people sitting there talking about putting trash out on the streets. I have cars parked there. When the street sweeper comes down, he doesn't even get up close to our curbside because he can't. There's cars parked there. So to go get a leaf vacuum, that would work in certain parts of the borough where people have off-street parking, but in other parts of the borough where people park on the streets, it's not going to work. Unless you sit there and send out a letter to people and tell them that on certain days you can't park on the street because they're coming through with a leaf vacuum or street sweeping and stuff like that. That's been done in other municipalities, but I can tell you, especially in my neighborhood, when it snows out, we don't even have people move their cars off the street, and it's a snow emergency route. So I really can't see this really, in my opinion, working unless it's for certain parts of the borough. But for the parts of the borough I live in where you have people parking on the streets because we have no driveways or off-street parking, I can't see that working. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Certainly something we'll need to talk about.
I just wanted to clarify something about the leaves. As I look at Rick back there, just as so everyone is aware, we do have 3 leaf pickup, right, once a month in the fall, October, November, December, and we also offer. You can take first Saturday of the month, every month. Is that? Second Saturday. I knew it was one of those Saturdays. So we do have some year-round. Not that it's convenient to haul your yard waste, but that is an option. And then I think we have one in the spring, a leaf pickup in the spring as well.
Go for it.
Hi, I'm Rita Rubens. I live at 327 East 6th Street in Lansdale, and I'm not here to talk about trash. I'm here for my other favorite topic, which of course is the skate park, and I just wanted to invite the whole council out. We'll set a date, whatever. We'll have a taco truck. When you guys can see the park, you can see what we're talking about if you concreted in 10,000 square feet of it, which, I mean, my math isn't great, but a tennis court is like 2,800 square feet. That's 3.5 tennis courts of concrete in my grass at my park, and I think that's kind of ridiculous. You know how many skateboarders I've seen, like, since I was here last? 2. That's a lot of concrete for 2 people. So I just wanted to remind everybody that grass is nice, green space is nice, not having runoff is nice. And I also wanted to have a shout out. We had a water main break yesterday, and it was fixed so quick. The North Penn Water Authority came out, and I know they had to coordinate with Lansdale Electric and everybody else, and the police came by to make sure everything was okay. And that was like, I discovered it about 6:20 when my daughter gets picked up to go to school at Overbrook School for the Blind in Philadelphia. I discovered it, called in. Somebody else had already called it in, and it was fixed by they had people there by like 8 o'clock. So 2 thumbs up for how that worked, because I know it was a big, complicated process. So please no skate park, and yay to water main repair. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rita.
Since we're on Rita's favorite topic of the skate park, it's one of my favorite topics, too. So I was going to wait till later to announce this, but since it came up, I do want everybody to know the Parks and Rec Committee will not be in a position to put forward a recommendation in February. We had announced at our work session we hoped we would have enough information, and now with Rita's invitation to visit I love tacos, so I'll come out there. But so just so everyone is aware that we are still gathering information and looking at revisiting our sites and gathering information, and we may in fact have a separate public meeting so that we can concentrate, not under a time constraint, regarding the skate park issue. We have committee business to discuss at committee meetings in addition to the skate park. So it's likely in the coming month or so we will schedule another open public meeting, and we'll get that date out to everyone. Thanks.
Thank you, Vice President Fuller. Do I have any other public comment this evening? This has been great for public comment tonight. Anyone else? Going once? Sold. Okay, we will move into our action items then. First up, we're going to have motion 1, which is not on your agenda. Councilman Van Dame.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Borough Council authorize the Council President to execute the attached letter waiving a conflict of interest to allow Obermeyer, Riedman, Maxwell, and Hippel, LLP, to represent Univest Bank and Trust Company in the drafting and negotiation of loan financing documents to the borough to the extent stated in the attached letter.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Kilkenny, if you want to give a brief overview of this. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I received correspondence about 2 weeks ago from Dave Nassiter, who has worked with Lansdale Borough related to many public financing projects over the years. His firm bid and obtained work with Univest, and Univest is working with local municipalities in refinancing and servicing loans to possibly include Lansdale and other municipalities. Because Obermeyer in the past has worked with us and worked on those loan documents that may in fact be refinanced, structured, or changed in any kind of way, it would require a waiver of conflict, meaning that Obermeyer couldn't represent both Lansdale's interests and Univest's interests. After talking to Mr. Nassiter, understanding the scope of the project, and realizing that there would be no material changes to any of the financing documents for Lansdale, to include the rate, most importantly, or the changes in payment or any of those kind of terms. It was my recommendation on reviewing the documentation that Borough Council move forward and waive the conflict, because I do not think that will affect Lansdale negatively in any way.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any public? Sorry, go ahead.
And this financing in this case is specifically for the street or the lighting program, the LED.
The lighting program, which will be later on the agenda.
Right, great.
Because this motion was unadvertised, do I have any public comment on this? All right. Any other questions or comments up here? All right. Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Motion B, Councilman Van Dame.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Borough Council approve the Treasurer's Report for the month of December, which shows the expenditures listed on the attachment.
Second.
A motion and a second. Do I have any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion B, Councilman Van Dame.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Borough Council approve the bills $1,000 and over as per the attachment.
Second.
A motion and a second. Do I have any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion C, Councilman Van Dame.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Borough Council approve the following meeting minutes. Work session, December 7th, 2016. Business meeting, December 21st, 2016.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion D, Councilman Van Dam.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Borough Council award a 3-year contract for the turf maintenance at borough-owned properties to Biasi Landscaping LLC, the lowest responsible bidder.
Second.
Sorry, folks, we're having a lot of feedback in here tonight. I have a motion and a second. Do I have any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion E, Councilman Van Dam.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Borough Council adopt attached Resolution 17-01, which authorizes the Assistant Borough Manager to execute documents on behalf of the borough when the borough manager is unavailable or inaccessible, and thus unable to sign documents.
Second?
I have a motion and a second, and I may be off on this, but this motion and the next motion didn't technically come through our committee process. Jake, do you want to give a brief overview of this motion and the next one and why we're doing it tonight?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Specifically concerning this motion, okay, from time to time, obviously, I can't be in multiple places at once, okay, and in case of where I would be sick or on vacation or something like that, then we're taking action to, through resolution to appoint the acting borough manager as signatory, authority. And what that will also do, okay, is in this specific case for the next motion, as far as the streetlight procurement program is concerned, there is a deadline of the end of this month, okay, to be able to execute those documents, and there's a good possibility that I won't be here for that period of time. So, in the abundance of caution, okay, we thought that this would be the appropriate time to bring this forward as a motion.
Thanks, Jake. Do I have any comments or questions on motion E? All right, thank you. Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion F, Councilman DiGregorio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Borough Council adopt the attached Resolution 1702, approving the subject of the Borough Solicitor to review and approve revised agreements for the DVRPC Regional Streetlight Program and authorizing the execution of all documents required to participate in the DVRPC Regional Streetlight Program.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any comments or questions? All right. Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion G, Councilman DiGregorio.
Thank you again. I move that Borough Council authorize the Borough Manager to purchase through the Pennsylvania CoStarz Purchasing Program number 777034 and Accolade Altec model number DB37 rear yard machine in the amount of $131,850, and this item will be purchased through the Capital Reserve Fund.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any comments or questions on the rear? Yes, please.
Yeah, the only thing, Rich, can you give us a little bit of a description of what this is going to do and it's going to be the advantages to the borough?
Yes, thank you. A couple of advantages of the this rear yard machine is we have a lot of telephone poles in our borough and a lot of backyards. This machine's a lot smaller. They actually get between fences, a split rail fence, to get back and actually take a pole out and replace it. A lot of our linemen, what they do is they have to go in a backyard residence and actually have to dig a new hole, which takes a lot of man hours, and then also have to get the pole out and put a new pole in. There's also other functions with the rear yard machine. In other words, there's a hydraulics for jackhammering, that there's like a multi-purpose. There's also a bucket attachment. So one of our linemen can actually take the attachment off and put a bucket and actually go up on a bucket and actually attach the wires or anything they need to do. So it's a very universal item I think that the borough will take advantage of. And also, it's a good safety item for the electrical department. So it's a well-invested machine. I think it will be great to have in our borough.
Excellent. Thank you, Councilman DiGregorio. Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion H, Councilman Work.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Borough Council authorize the Borough Solicitor to prepare and the Borough Manager to advertise an ordinance amending Ordinance 985 to establish a handicap parking zone located at 1032 Poplar Street.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Seeing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And motion I, Councilman Malagari.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Borough Council authorize payment number 1 in the amount of $144,399.60 to SJM Construction Company for work completed on the 2016 roadway and utility rehabilitation project per the recommendation of Remington, Vernick, and Beach engineering consultants for this project. This project will be funded through the Capital Reserves Fund.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any comments or questions? All right, seeing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That concludes our action items for the evening. We'll move into our information items, starting us off. Mayor Zekley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Last Wednesday night, I attended the International Spring Festival kickoff dinner, which was very well attended and featured a couple of very powerful motivational speakers. So April's festival will be here before we know it. What is the exact date, Tom? 22nd. 22nd? Okay. Hats off to Parks and Rec for the mention of Lansdale's park system and Philly.com. I think, Ray, that was on Citizens for the revitalization of Lansdale. So good job there, Carl. Recently, I met with for some reason, I guess maybe the beginning of the year, a few landlords, or more than a few landlords, and a couple of businesses have reached out to me asking what they can do to help make Lansdale a better place, how they can attract business. So certainly I pointed them in the direction of the Economic Development Committee report or meetings, as well as Citizens for the Revitalization of Lansdale website or Facebook page. Lastly, echoing what Mary had to say and what Ed had to say, or Ed Levine had to say about crime in Lansdale going down. It's always nice to see that. Meeting with the chief weekly and talking about it, it's nice to see. Well, I think part of the reason, or a large reason, is the 3 problematic bars that closed down in the last few years. So hats off again to the police department. And that's all for my report.
Thank you, Mayor Zekley. Solicitor's report, Mr. Kilkenny.
Thank you very much, President Burnell. As referenced earlier, our office has been working with staff on the regional streetlight procurement project, working with on various documents. There is a conference call tomorrow which should settle any remaining issues related to the project. Want to commend the rest of staff. It has been truly a group effort. We've also worked on the Ridge Pipe pump station with staff, Mr. Fazio, Mr. Ernst, and Mr. Ziegler on working with an easement to clear up any particular issues related to jurisdiction. As was talked about before, we have drafted an ordinance for our planning commission to go ahead and start to look at and possibly examine related to medical marijuana. We know that this is an issue that's coming up in every municipality in the Commonwealth, and zoning officers, managers are being approached throughout Montgomery County about medical marijuana and medical marijuana dispensaries specifically. As you may know, Montgomery County, it's been in the papers, has been granted 2 licenses. It will be a very competitive process, and part of the process will be that they will have to have approval, not approval, meaning a public vote from the borough, but a zoning go-ahead saying that where they intend to locate, where they have a lease or a property for sale, property that they've bought that would fit the zoning. Essentially, that would be akin to a pharmacy, because that's how a medical marijuana dispensary will work. So I know people have seen things in Colorado and other places. That's not how the Pennsylvania law is structured. Again, it's very akin to what a pharmacy does. We've worked with staff on Penn Square and drafted a development, financial security, and electric facilities agreement. We've worked with staff and your new finance director to complete our audit letter. And then finally, worked with Mr. Ziegler, Mr. Brunel, and finally closing on the 311 Arts Building, and look forward to helping staff move forward with that project. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Kilkenny. All right, moving right ahead, Borough Manager's report. Mr. Ziegler.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Just one or two items tonight, okay, more of an informational nature, okay. We are actively starting to work on the design part of the East Main Street streetscape, okay? And one of the activities that will have to take place there, okay, is that we'll have to be doing some surveying along East Main Street. Just wanted to get that information out there. We will be sending out notifications to the various businesses and residents out there that this will be taking place once we get a more firmer date on that. But I just did want to mention that so that it doesn't come as a surprise, which it still will. But try to get the information out as best as possible. Along that same line, the contractor that is engaged right now with the work that's taking place up on Crestview Avenue will sometime relatively shortly. Once again, we don't have an exact date, okay, but part of that work is also going to involve doing some replacement of sanitary sewer lines, okay, in Durstein Avenue and basically in the 600 block. So we will also be getting out, reminder letters, okay, to the residents out there that this work is going to be taking place. But I just want to, once again, take this opportunity to make sure that word gets out, a little bit into public. And that completes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Jake? All right. All right, comments for the good of council, starting to my left. Anyone?
I do. Our next Civics 101 is starting January 31st, which is a Tuesday night from 7 to 9. We'd love to have more residents come out. There's a couple openings left. If you're interested, you can email me at chawkins@lansdale.org, or you can email Tracy at tflynn@lansdale.org. We'd love to see you out there.
Anyone else to my left? All right, to my right. Nobody? Wow.
Happy New Year.
I know. You should all mark this date on your. You should mark this date on your calendars, folks. All right. Do I have any old business? Do I have any new business? We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
You took my comment.